What is going on, folks? Welcome back to another edition of the Fightful Wrestling Weekly. Now, with a clean-shaved me. I shaved because it just looked bad and I can't grow facial hair. I'm like a middle school or high schooler. Tim, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Mine kind of grows a little patchy like Kevin Owens.
Yeah, mine just like, I get it here and I get the mustache here, but nothing in the middle.
Interesting.
It's like a reverse mustache. I was gonna say something I probably shouldn't, but we're gonna kick off this edition of the Wrestling Weekly the same way we always do every week with the Raw and SmackDown notes. So the title of SmackDown Live this week was, quote, Promise Ring, which was about AJ Styles' SummerSlam promise that headlined the show. WWE Monday Night Raw title was A Friend Indeed, based on the main event segment that saw Dean Ambrose make his on-screen return. WWE Monday Night Raw underwent rewrites and a shift in plans throughout Monday due to the passing of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Both Natalya, who was scheduled to wrestle, and Tyson Kidd, who was scheduled to produce, were obviously not at that show. The three jobbers named the Triple Threat were told to pretend that they wanted to fight the Bludgeon Brothers until the champions hit the ring. It's kind of a weird note. Like, right. Hey guys, make sure you look like you really want to rough these two boys up. Talking a little bit about the producers as well, as per usual, Dave Fit Finlay was given the women's match to produce, which has been the case for several years now, and helped with Alexa Bliss versus Ember Moon kicking off Monday Night Raw. The women's tag team match between the Riot Squad and Sasha Banks and Bayley later in the night was produced by Sarah Stock. The Blink and You Miss It six-man tag match with Bobby Roode and Titus Worldwide taking on the Authors of Pain and Mojo Rawley was produced by Dean Malenko. Hi, Dean. Devon Dudley was in charge of the Raw Tag Team Championship Triple Threat match, which was very fun, and former NWA champion Adam Pearce produced Constable Corbin versus Tyler Breeze, and Jamie Noble was tasked with Braun Strowman and Finn Balor taking on Owens and Mayhall.
Nice.
Continuing on, one last little thing here, because I know Tim's so eager to wrap it up. Sean writes, I was able to learn some info on who produced a couple of the promos on Monday night as well, and I really like this note because it's interesting to see who kind of scripts out these promos a little bit. It's rather interesting. The main event segment saw Seth Rollins bring back Dean Ambrose in a promo that also featured Kurt Angle, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. This was produced by Shield 2.0 member himself, drumroll, Jamie Noble. He pulled double duty tonight. Congratulations, Jamie. The Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and Brock Lesnar promo that happened earlier in the show was produced by Michael Hayes. That's
Michael
a little interesting.
P.S. Hayes.
Michael P.S. Hayes. That's a little interesting. I like that a lot. I think that's neat.
I mean, I liked both Raw's. Well,
I like SmackDown.
I can say that I'll say I liked both shows, but I'm not going to say both shows were good. SmackDown was okay. Raw had its misses.
Yeah, I feel like with a 3-hour show, you're going to have your misses each week.
And it's going to stay 3 hours for at least the next 5 years. Well, 6 technically, because you've got this next year on USA and then 5 more years after that on USA. So you got, unless something drastic happens, it's 6 hours on USA. So that's why I'm glad SmackDown's going to the Fox network, because you literally can't have that show run past 10 o'clock. No overrun, no nothing. 8 to 10, 2-hour show.
Got that 10 o'clock Fox News. So we talked about cool and neat, and one thing that I think is really, really cool and neat is that Sean was on the NXT conference call, the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn Triple H conference call.
Oh, no. He's not called Triple H on those conference calls. They all refer to him as Paul.
There you go. Mr. Paul Levesque. But what else is really cool is that we're going to show you guys a clip from that conference call. In case you guys were wondering what goes on in these conference calls, or if I ever get there one day, what or what shouldn't I ask? And if you guys want to know what you shouldn't ask, just ask Sean, or just look at his Twitter, because he got really upset.
Yeah, no.
But we're going to send you to a clip right now. Enjoy.
So I think if I was to say, more of a split, but understanding this will be, I'm trying to think about how exactly to say this. So there's a split, but there's definitely a little bit of a crisscross. So you could see talent stepping over to the UK and back and forth a bit as it gets more and more structured on its own. The UK does. I would prefer it to kind of stand on its own and be its own thing. And, in my mind, I sort of envision the territory system of If you look at the blend across any of the markets that we are able to make a sub brand or a regional brand like the UK, if NXT is kind of that oversight brand to where the NXT champion is like your traveling world champion and can move around. So I do see some ability to be flexible and to move other places, but I also think it gives us the ability to be flexible in that a talent can work in NXT or in NXT UK for a period of time, run some great programs, do some great learning, get themselves up to a certain level, and then move to a different place where they can kind of take the things that they learned, take what they learned in that area where they were, who they were working with, the people that they were around, and apply that in a different scenario. And, it's going back to the old days of getting yourself over in different territories, so to speak, and, finding the things that work for you and subtly changing them along the way to make yourself better. That, to me, is what will be great about having it in that manner, that sort of kind of territory system where people can move around. They exist within themselves, but yet there is the ability to move over periods of time through different territories.
And if you guys want to see the full NXT conference call, go ahead and head to the Fightful YouTube channel where Sean streamed it. What a good boy Sean is. Thanks, Sean. I love you. Now, we're going to talk about my favorite guy on earth, who I wish I had his hair. I can't even come close.
Nice hair.
He's got some very nice hair. Sean has better hair, but no, Matt Riddle.
Really? Better?
I think Sean has better hair.
Oh, he's going to like to hear that.
I'm going to try to get on his good side so he pays us.
Anyways.
We're going to talk a little bit about Matthew Riddlestein. That's actually his real name. No one knows that. What did he write about Matt?
So Sean wrote the following, saying, "We're nearing the day that many suspect Fightful alum Matt Riddle will be appearing for NXT. We've been airing several clips from our likely final Bro Spot broadcast filming on the Listing Your Boy Weekly, and the irony is I thought it was the best we ever were on air together. We discussed things like Matt's take on shaking hands in the locker room to his feelings on Booker T and the Young Bucks." He goes on to talk about how Kenny Omega actually talked about Riddle recently, and Matt Riddle was kind of taken aback because he didn't even realize that Omega knew who he was.
Yeah, that's must be a very high honor to get praised by someone like Kenny Omega, the IWGP.
I think he said
heavyweight champion.
Because Sean asked him, he's like, "Have you ever met Kenny Omega?" And he was like, "I think we shared a locker room once at PWG, but we never said a word to each other."
It's insane, man.
He also goes on to say that Riddle also discussed Brian Pillman Jr., saying that I hang out with Brian Pillman. We're the Hollywood bros. I like him.
Love it.
He's a good guy, pretty hilarious. He's a real bro. He's been training MMA as well. He's been doing jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. I think he's going to be something serious. When the kid can work and do something crazy, people are going to get behind him, Riddle said. Go for it.
No, I was just going to say, there's so many things that we've already said about Matt Riddle that hasn't been said about the greatest professional wrestlers on the planet already. I'm not going to bore you with a whole long speech about how great Riddle is or how this is the breaking mold for independent stuff. I'm really excited for Riddle. I'm really excited to see what happens with him.
Right. I was actually going to go and say the stuff I've seen of Brian Pillman Jr., him and his mullet, great stuff. I think either he's officially signed or just working a lot for MLW. I think he actually signed with MLW.
But I believe he did as well.
I've heard that he's, picking up this pro wrestling stuff for as little time as he's been training. He's picking it up quick, and they're saying he's as good, if not better, than his dad. Yeah,
hopefully he hopefully he has that opportunity to continue to make his name known, because I'm sure that shadow is awful to try to wrestle through, especially with some bookers. I'm sure that's got to be rough. So I'm really glad that he's out there making a name for himself. I think that's awesome. I love both these guys, and I'm really excited to see Riddle in the WWE. I'm excited to see Pillman grow as a professional wrestler. With that, it was a pretty quick episode of the Fightful Wrestling Weekly this week. We're gonna end it with my favorite thing on earth, the Listing Your Boy, because it's a fun little. If I had a list of top 10 favorite things, it'd be number 267 or something like that.
Yikes.
So we're going to send you over to Listen Your Boy right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you. Goodbye.
Have a good one.
So Ring of Honor and New Japan, they've come together. They're doing the G1 Supercard at Madison Square Garden during WrestleMania week. They sold out 60% of it immediately on a pre-sale to Honor Club members. Then it went on sale to the general public, and they sold it out. And you know what? I say congratulations to them. I've seen some things on social media from some critics and some trolls that say, oh, it's because it's over WrestleMania week and there's wrestling fans in town. My answer to that is selling out MSG any time of the year is a feat.
Yeah.
It's a feat.
If it was so easy, why didn't Impact run a 15,000 seat arena?
Exactly. How come they haven't done it? They've been in New York in previous years, WWE.
Yeah.
Nobody booked MSG prior to now, right? It's a feat no matter the time of year. Do I think they're going to try it in October? Not necessarily. But hey, they still sold it out, and I say congratulations.
Now, I got some flack a few weeks ago because I said I don't see MSG as a big deal. And then I still don't, from a building perspective, it doesn't hold that connection to me. Had they sold out a 15,000-seat barn, I would have been very impressed. I would have been like, damn, 15,000? The number I'm very impressed by. That's
you mean an actual
awesome.
Barn? Like if they had like hay in the rafters and shit?
That
and
would,
chickens?
hey, yeah, why not?
And you know they always seem to have a rope because they swing it out the door
Yeah.
in those barns, you know?
If they would have sold out a barn, 15,000 seats, I would have still been impressed. But the fact that they were able to with the tickets, as expensive as they were, ooh, that's money. And, you do have some people saying, well, scalpers. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who cares?
ROH their job is done.
Yes, I agree.
They've sold the tickets.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, I'm sure they don't want two people to show up, but they make the same amount of, well, not the same amount of money because they got to sell merch and all that shit.
Yeah.
Concessions, but that's fantastic. That's great for wrestling. When I look at this, I'm like, man, pro wrestling, despite viewership numbers, this is very good. People are willing to spend money on wrestling, and it makes me happy.
I can't believe anybody would say, oh, scalpers bought them. How is that a negative?
Yeah.
Like, if you're the business selling the tickets, like you said, you don't give a shit. You still got the money.
And then you have people that will hit me up. WWE doesn't care about anybody wrestling in bingo halls. Well, what about Madison Square Garden?
Oh, they care.
You all want me to believe that it's a coincidence that the week after Ring of Honor, and Sinclair owned Ring of Honor, by the way, a pretty conservative group, runs MSG, that, oh, all of a sudden, Hulk, we're okay with you now, Hulk. Hogan, come back. Yeah, oh, because they don't want a Ring of Honor saying, hey, come out there and point a finger at somebody at Madison Square Garden.
They even had Elias cut the promo and mention MSG.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who else is WWE bound that hadn't been WWE bound before? I wonder, maybe somebody who could make a difference in April around then.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of signs. WWE has always cared about number 2. They don't ever care about number 3. That's
they definitely are aware of it. There's no question about it. No question about it.
Not a doubt.
They're going to get $1 million gate. I say good for them. That's by far the biggest show they've ever done, and good for them. That'll be interesting.